You're not a real architect though.
I was always getting approached for one-to-one work, but I knew that, and I did look, do I take on some architects? Do I take on some people that can help me do this? And again, it was like, no, I don't, that's not the practice I want. I made a decision at the beginning of this year. I wanted to try and see how I could go with the course sales and not do one-to-one. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be really strict with myself. I'm going to say no to these one-to-one services and then start really investing some effort and energy in the courses.
So I want to take a moment and decode the business model here. When Amelia talks about one-to-one services, she's talking about the traditional practice of architecture, serving clients. So one-on-one client work, one client equals one project. When that project is complete, you need to find another client. When she talks about one-to-many services, she's talking about products. So Amelia has sort of two businesses that exist under her sort of banner. There's Design by Amelia Lee, which is a custom residential design service. And then there is the Undercover Architect, which is predominantly a product-based business where she's selling courses.
I've never had to market the one-to-one services. I think the blog and then the podcast, which got started at the end of 2016, that has enabled people to get to know me in a way that they can't get to know a lot of architects. They've been able then to self-select whether I'm the right fit for them. And the clients that I've worked with inside Undercover Architect are some of the best clients I've ever worked with in my career, because they have already built a relationship of trust with me by the time they turn up and decide that they want to work with me. Over the last 12 months, my revenue has plateaued, but the proportion of one-to-one to one-to-many split has fundamentally changed. And for me, that's then an opportunity to continue to grow the business in a way that's actually scalable, because I don't need to have a big team. I can help lots of people and do it in a way that works for them and works for me.
If you look on both of those websites, you'll notice that she's using something called content marketing. Now, they don't teach you marketing in school, in architecture school, but if you want a successful business, you need to learn how to be a marketer. Content marketing is essentially creating content and information around things that people are searching for online. So you'll notice Amelia has an email list, she has a blog, she has all of her social media profiles, and she also has her podcast. And each one of those creates content, curates information, and delivers it to people who are searching for that information online. That's how she reaches her audience. And then she uses those channels to funnel them back to her products.
I've said to other architects, I probably spend a day and a half a week doing my blog or my podcast. And they're like, what? Well, how does that earn you money? And I'm like, well, you're spending money on marketing? I don't spend a lot of money on marketing because I'm seeking to educate. That has always been my goal first. I want to educate, help, and serve. And I do that with a belief that then the right people will come to choose to work with me. I think you really have to flip your switch on how you think about your business to do this type of work. Consistency is what counts. And I've learned that. I couldn't just do it for 6 months and then I've let it fall away and expected to still have any profile. In hindsight, it kind of probably looks like I had this linear path to where I got to. It's never felt like that. I did start Undercover Architect with some pretty clear ideas about how I wanted my lifestyle and the business to align with each other. Now, I'm not there yet. I'm still working far more than I would like to be in terms of the number of hours that I'm spending doing this and the amount of work I'm putting into it. For the last maybe 18 months, I've got far better at working out, okay, what does the year ahead need to look like? What are financial targets? What does that mean in terms of launch? I actually have a calendar where at the beginning of each year, I do it in November now, the year before, and I have a big calendar and I put all the kids' school holidays in, I put the kids' birthdays, I put anything else that I know that I need to have, and then everything gets planned around sort of those blocked out times. I'd look at how many hours I had each month, and I'd then work out what my hourly rate needed to be based on the month. Yeah, Easter I couldn't earn as much, so my monthly target for that was lower than perhaps June, where I was capable of working more. Just starting to get, none of it's perfect. What gets measured gets managed. So you need to put some pinpoints in something and start tracking your progress in it. And I've learned over time what the metrics are that work for me in terms of what I follow to see growth. So I do the planning in November. That has a financial target and sort of an understanding of time. I then do 90-day goals and I boil what I need to deliver down into 90-day timeframes. And then, of course, I then boil those down into individual tasks that are deliverable each week. And there's things that are just have to happen, like the podcast or stuff on the website and those types of things on a weekly basis. The blog, of course, was like driving people to me that were really awesome to work with, who already turned up trusting me. The podcast has just elevated that to a new level because when you're in somebody's ear for half an hour a week, there's a very different relationship and connection created. So people email me saying, I feel like I know you. I have to remind myself that I've never met you in person. Most people don't use architects. And so, they're doing this anyway. And for me, for us to get information in front of them only builds up the value and knowledge base of the industry. And I've had people say to me, oh, if you give it all away for free, are people going to pay you for it? And it's like, they do. And they pay me more now than they paid me before. So I think that it enables you to do is cut through, create a relationship with a person before they turn up. I don't have to elicit their trust anymore. They turn up trusting me, which means that they actually listen to what I do and they build the buildings that we work together on. Rather than you punching out all these projects that never get built, I think that there's just so much possibility. Even if you just have your website and you just put, like, this is what it looks like to work with me, and you have 10 blogs that say, okay, this is what we do then, this is what we do then, this is like, people are looking for information. And there's a rule that in the sales process, people are turning up to you when they're sort of like already 70% of the way of making their decision because they've done all of this research, and you have to undo a lot of that research a lot of the time because they've turned up with all this misinformation. If you can cut through that and arrive at the beginning of that process and guide them through the journey that you normally take, then that is a way of actually then helping them arrive at you in an informed way that then makes them a really great client to work with. Architects, we're all doing quite similar things. We're talking about orientation, we're talking about space planning, we're talking about functionality, but you will still do it your unique way. You'll have your unique personality and you'll attract your own unique people. People go, I'm going to start a podcast. My advice always is just know you're in it for the long game. This isn't an overnight thing. Like the work I have done to get this business to where it is, and it's nowhere near where I want it to be. So for me, this has always been a long-term commitment. I don't plan on kind of at this stage ever really stopping doing Undercover Architect, and I'm 44 now. So this for me is a legacy, project. I've seen bloggers in my industry come and go, and they just obviously didn't understand how much tenacity it was going to take to do it. It's not easy, but for me, it's been so worthwhile.
So this model, it's not for everyone, and it's definitely drawn some criticism for her, especially from other architects. You're not a real architect, though.
Yeah, I get that. I do get people that saying to me, well, you're not designing buildings, and that's what they think, I find it really challenging. Architecture is such a diverse industry. So many people are doing so many different things. When I worked in a 100-strong practice, I saw there was architects that were really great at delivery, and that's all that they did. They never did a drawing in their life. The architects who only worked at design hated being on site. So it was a company full of specializations with people working to their strengths to create a project. It was a team sport. So I kind of feel like, as I said, there's so many architects out there who are very happy to deliver buildings to their clients. And I just want to, and do it in a really, really great way that supports the client getting what they want. I just want to help people find them. And I've found that I've got this ability to simplify. I didn't know I had this ability to simplify what seems complex for some people into like a system and a step-by-step process. And so for me to work to that ability of like educating and teaching people is where my strength lies. You can't help but see these beautiful big buildings and these iconic structures that people are building and going, gosh, have I missed the boat? Like, I was working on that kind of stuff if I'd stuck with it. But I couldn't be the mum I am. I'd be working ridiculous hours, or I'd be doing a really small, I'd be doing the lobby fit out. People are always going to judge you. It says far more about them than it does about you. So yeah, I just think you just got to thick skin, roll on. It's that Brené Brown saying, if you're not in the arena, then your opinion doesn't really matter.